All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is March 15th, and this is the Finance Administration Committee and a special meeting of the Board of Directors of West Basin Municipal Water District. So with that, we'll determine if we have a quorum. If our staff could do a roll call, please.
Sure thing, Chair. We'll start with Director Deere. Here. Director Gray.
Here.
Director Williams. I know he's en route. Director Alvarez. So that brings us to Chair Houston.
Here. We have 3 out of 5 here at this moment, and we do have the chair and the alternate of the committee present, so we can conduct business. All right, next item would be public comment. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak?
So we have no comments here in the room. Do we have any on the online platform? If there's any member of the public who would like to be recognized, you can do so by raising your hand on the platform. And it appears we have no one identifying themselves, so no public comments at this time.
Very good, thank you. So let's move along into, there's no presentations I see, so we'll move on to our action calendar, item 5A.
Okay, and we have our acting board secretary, Desiree Quintero, who will walk us through the approval of the minutes.
Okay, so staff report approval of minutes begins on packet page 4. Today we have the following minutes which have been attached for the board's consideration beginning on packet page 5. The minutes for the February 18th, 2023 special board meeting, as well as the February 27th, 2023 regular board meeting. So it is staff's recommendation that the board approve the February 18th, 2023 special board minutes, as well as the February 27th, 2023 regular board meeting.
Okay, great, thank you. First I'll defer to our alternate Director Gray. Did you have any questions or comments regarding the minutes?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Do you have any other questions or comments, Director Deere?
No, thank you.
And I do not at this time, so I would recommend these move to the full board for approval. If Director Gray concurs.
I concur.
Okay, great, thank you. All right. We will move on to the next item, which is 5B as in boy. We have some community outreach event sponsorships to consider.
Absolutely, President Houston. So we have our Deputy Board Secretary, Haza Vasquez, here to provide the staff recommendations for these 3 sponsorships.
Good morning, President Houston, Director Deere, and any other members of the board that are on the call. We are going to go to item 5B, which starts on packet page 14. Today, we have 3 items to present to you for your consideration for fiscal year 22-23 community outreach events. The first one that we have is a request from Director Gray, and this is for the G.W. Carver Environmental Legacy Awards that is scheduled to be held on Thursday, April 20th, 2023. Director Gray is requesting that the board consider a $2,500 sponsorship, and this would grant West Basin a district booth to distribute district information and a speaking opportunity for a district representative. Note, we have not previously sponsored this event. Our next item on here is the Culver City Car Show. This is a request from Director Houston. The Culver City Car Show is scheduled to be held on Saturday, May 13th, 2023. And at this time, Director Houston is requesting that the board consider a $2,500 sponsorship that would grant West Basin an advertisement promoting district awareness, a district booth for people to distribute district information, and a speaking opportunity for a district representative. Basin last sponsored this event in fiscal year 2022 in the same amount of $2,500. Our third item on here is the 50th anniversary celebration and gala. This is a request from Director Houston, and this is for the Will Geer Theatricum Botanicum's 50th anniversary celebration and gala scheduled to be held on Saturday, August 5th, 2023. At this time, Director Houston is requesting that the board consider a $2,500 sponsorship that would grant West Basin an advertisement promoting district awareness. West Basin has not previously sponsored this event. That I can read the recommendation. The recommendation is that the board approve one California Greenworks GW Carver Environmental Legacy Awards event to be held on Thursday, April 20th, 2023, in the total amount of $2,500. Two, the Exchange Club of Culver City's Culver City Car Show event to be held on Saturday, May 13th, 2023, in the amount of $2,500. And three, the Will Gear Theatricum Botanicum's 50th anniversary celebration and gala event to be held on Saturday, August 5th, 2023, in the total amount of $2,500. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Haza. Any questions? And I'll start with Director Gray. Any questions on any of these items? Director Gray still here?
Oh, I'm sorry, I had a mute. Yes, just a question would be, what would be the balance if all those items were approved, were recommended for the board to consider approval? Is that there?
So, yes, so with the approval of these three items, that would leave a remaining budget of $30,500.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome. And I'm just looking at that myself. No, thank you. Good question, Director Gray. Director Deere, any questions? All right. I have no other questions. I think these are all very valid requests, and I would recommend they move forward with the board's consideration of approval. So you have a yes for me, and Director Gray, do you concur?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Great. Okay, thank you, and thank you, Haza. So now we'll move to the next item, which is 5C as in cat. There's the district sponsorship requests.
Absolutely. And so, Haza, please continue with these two items.
So item 5C for the fiscal year 22-23 district sponsorship request begins on packet page 38. And we have two items for your consideration today. The first is the WELL, which is the Water Education for Latino Leaders, their 11th annual statewide conference. This conference is scheduled to be held on Friday, March 31st and Saturday, April 1st. Staff has reviewed the sponsorship levels and is at this time recommending the sponsorship amount of $5,000. Now, West Basin hasn't previously sponsored this event, and I did want to note as well that the sponsorship levels that they provide, that they have available, the $5,000 that we are recommending is not on those sponsorship levels. The organizers worked with us to provide a bespoke opportunity for this. So the $5,000 would get us an advertisement in their digital program, as well as the district logo placed on all of their promotional media, as well as throughout the conference. So there is additional details regarding the event and their initial request for sponsorship, and that's included in attachment A.
Question? WRD has been very good about sponsoring our water harvest, haven't they?
Yes.
We do the same for them.
Well,
Yeah, that's our next item.
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, our next item is WRD's 13th Annual Groundwater Festival. This is their annual festival that they hold in May, and this year it will be held Saturday, May 6th. At this time, staff is recommending the sponsorship amount of $5,000. In the past, we have sponsored this event most recently in 2019, and it was in the amount of $2,500. After that, we were initially slated to sponsor their 2020 event, but due to the pandemic, that was canceled. We didn't process anything for them in 2021 or 2022. So this is our first event back since the pandemic. There are 6 tiers available for this sponsorship consideration. Those are listed on packet page 39. And the details for the associated benefits and everything included are detailed in attachment B. Recommendation
Please do.
that the board considers one, sponsoring the Water Education for Latino Leaders 11th Annual Statewide Conference to be held on Friday, March 31st, 2023, and Saturday, April 1st, 2023, in the amount of $5,000. And two, sponsoring the Water Replenishment District's 13th Annual Brown Water Festival to be held on Saturday, May 6th, 2023, in the amount of $5,000. And with that, we have answered questions.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Jesus. So I'll note that Director Williams has now arrived, so he's present. And so he is also the member of the committee. And I know you're getting settled, so if you want to take a moment. But I'll just go ahead and open this up to any questions on these two items. So Director Gray or Director Deere, whichever wants to go first. Yeah, go ahead, Director Gray.
Right. I just wanted to suggest that the committee moves forward with a recommendation to support both items. WRD is one of our agencies that we do have a partnership with, and I think they've been very supportive of us, and I'd like to see us do that. And the other, well, the Water Education Latino Foundation, certainly their mission, I think, is well worth supporting it, and so I support both of those. I recommend the committee to support the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Gray. Director Deere, did you have any comment? No. Director, Williams, anything?
No, I would just like to say though that I've read both and I support the staff's recommendation.
Okay, very good. And then I do have a couple questions. So on the WRD, I think in the past, how much did we sponsor in the past for that?
2,500.
We sponsored 2,500, but this time our staff is suggesting we sponsor at $5,000. Is there a reason why we're looking at $5,000 instead of what we usually have done? And I also looked at the levels available. There are lower levels. One is at $3,000. So I would like to hear an explanation as to why you all are suggesting $5,000 on this.
All right, they sponsored our event at the silver level,
What was that?
which I believe was 2,500.
When you say our event, are we talking about
The water
our
harvester.
water harvest event?
Correct.
And then how much did they sponsor?
I could get staff assistance with that.
Look it up right now.
You're looking it up right now. And so their silver equivalent would be at 8,000. Initially, I was trying to match the silver to silver, but I brought it back to the bronze level, 5,000. So it's a little bit less than that silver equivalent. And so that was kind of the rationale.
Well, what I've seen happen over the years is it's pretty much been a consistent amount. 2,500, I believe, to them and 2,500 to us for whatever that's worth. And I see on here, they do have a comparable amount, which is $3,000, which I think makes a lot more sense. $8,000 I think would have been really off base, but even 5,000 I think is a little difficult for me personally. So as much as we support WRD, I would not recommend the 5,000. I would recommend we look at potentially the $3,000. But at the end of the day, it can go to the full board. But anybody else have opinions or thoughts on this?
Agree with you. Agree.
Director Williams.
It's a question.
Go ahead, Director Gray.
Right. What were the levels? I heard the general manager's explanation. So you were trying to match the silver level to what they did before. Was that the explanation?
So
And that,
our silver.
go on.
So our silver level was 2,500. And so that's what they sponsored was the silver level.
No, it doesn't matter. It's not money.
It's
Right,
the
right.
dollar amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
And so
have they sponsored any of our other events at the $5,000 level besides just the $2,500 level?
I'm not aware of any other sponsorships from WRD, no.
Okay, all right, well, I agree with the chair. If the 2,500 is what we gave them before, what they sponsored us as, then we could certainly consider, the board can consider a lower level. So either way is okay with me.
Thank you, Director Gray. I did hear Director Deere said he agreed with what I said, and then Director Williams.
Yeah,
I wanted to speak. Go ahead.
Yes, I would support your recommendation. But I just remember that WRD and West Basin has basically the same constituency. So it's just money out of one pocket into the other pocket. So as far as the hit on the taxpayers, it's the same. So, and I know that WRD supports everybody. They're at every conference you go to, every water agency, WRD is there supporting. So I don't have a problem with whatever the board wants to support WRD at, but definitely not 5,000. 5,000 is a bit much. Then the 3,000 would be, I think, on base.
Okay. Great. All right. Now, so there's still one other item here at the same time. So we also have the water education Latino leaders. And I understand we've never supported their efforts before, to my knowledge. I think that was in this staff report. I guess I have a question because I know they came asking more money than what staff is proposing. But I also see what we are getting for it, which is, what are we getting for $5,000 sponsorship again?
We're getting a digital advertisement and logo placement.
And what is the audience of this group for this particular event? I think West Basin's participated in the past that I'm aware of, but I don't.
Right, I believe they're attracting elected leaders as well as professionals in the water industry. It's the water education for Latino leaders. And I believe their mission is to bring in those leaders who represent the Latino community and to make sure they're well aware of all of the water issues that they may, have influence over. And so that is really their kind of the core constituency, but they have broader appeal to, the professional community in the water industry, consultants, agencies, that sort of constituency.
Okay, well, on this one, I think as one of the two members of this, I would just recommend it goes to the full board for more discussion because I'm not comfortable making any decision on this one personally. So I don't know what my colleague thinks, but Director Williams, what's your pleasure?
I don't have a problem with making a decision on it because we have supported organizations that that reach out to the what you might call the underrepresented members of our community, and I think that WELL is one of them. I think WELL came to the African American Water Association for support, and we have in the past, and I think that we have the California African American Water Education Foundation, a very similar organization. So I would support them because of the mere fact that we have been almost visible. So, and to put light on both organizations or organizations like that, like the African American, they are the LA Council of Black Professional Engineers that years we've been supporting. But if you look around, not much has changed because it takes a long time to change some minds. But yeah, I don't have a problem going forward. taking it to the full board with the recommendation, or holding off and go to the full board and make the recommendation there. Either way, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay. All right, well, how about this? You've convinced me. So here's what I'm okay with, we recommend to the board for the approval of the $5,000 to well. I think you made a very compelling argument, my friend. And then, but also I would recommend that we move forward with a $3,000 sponsorship level to WRD, which is the next lowest tier, I believe. So that's where I'm at, which sounds like, I think you're with me there.
Yeah, you're good.
Good, okay. So, all right, any other questions from my colleagues? But I think we're ready to move this forward. All right, so hearing none, staff, you understand what it is, so recommending your recommendation of 5,000 for well, and we'll say $3,000 for WRD. And move that forward to the board. 2 members concurring here. All right, thank you. Okay, next is item 5D as in dog.
Okay, and so this is our ratification of additional conference and travel expenditures for Division 4. And so I'll walk you through this item, which is on package page. So our administrative code incorporates matters pertaining to administration, human resources, financial matters, property and records management. We refer to the admin code to ensure that board approved policies are being adhered to. Actual charges for conference and travel for fiscal year 2022-23 from July through February indicate that Division 4 has exceeded the annual travel budget cap of $15,000 per division for the fiscal year by $2,240.02. Of this overage, the board previously approved additional expenditures in the amount of $350.19. So per the admin code, section 2-1.306M, board will need to ratify the additional expenditures in the amount of $1,889.83. So with that, the recommendation here is that the board consider ratifying the additional expenditures spent above the allowable cap of $15,000 per director per fiscal year for Division 4 in the amount of $1,889.83.
Very good. Thank you, Greg. And it is my understanding, because I thought we were past it, but the way the billing cycle works, there's some things that had not been, I'm looking for.
It's essentially like a month behind where these are the charges that came in February that we're now accounting for.
Yeah. That's why apparently there's some additional funds that weren't here when we looked at this last month. So
Correct.
this should be the end of any of this, correct?
Based on our calculations, yes. This should
Is it for Paul Riss?
Well, this is for my division.
Keep coming back. We don't
Well,
understand.
that's why we thought that we had everything last month, but apparently we didn't. And it's just the way that the billing cycles work. So this should, by all accounts, be the end of this, to my knowledge. So, anyway, with that, any other questions or?
Due to my health situation, I haven't done much traveling, as you can see by the budgets, and I don't mind having money sticking out of my account there to help pay for this, to pay for this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any,
Yeah, I agree. Overall, we did not bust the budget. So that we're in good shape. But I would recommend that we in the future keep an eyeball on how we are personally
Yeah,
spending your money. Because I need it down the road, it will be there for me.
it's true. We have reciprocated when we needed to, so I appreciate that. So let's see, any other questions? Director Gray, any questions?
Yeah, I'm okay with the previous comment. I'm good with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Gray. So with that, we can move this forward with a recommendation of yes from the board, and can you add in the language, I guess, that we need to that will come from Director Deers? Like we
Division
did.
5 budget.
Perfect. All right, so with that, I'm a yes. Director Williams
I'm good.
is a yes. So We will move. Thank you very much. Let's see, now, what do we got here? Item 6 is our information calendar, and we have 6 days of Public Agency Retirement System biannual actuarial valuation report. Go ahead.
Yeah, and we have Allison Tong here, our accountant, who will give this information item for the committee. So please, Allison.
Good afternoon, President Houston and members of the board. I'm here to present on item 6A, which is the district's public agency retirement system biannual actual evaluation report. The memo starts on your back page 53, and I'll give a brief background and summary of this report. The PARS plan was established in 2002. It provides its directors with benefits when they retire from West Basin. The retirement plan is administered for West Basin through PARS. Eligible board retirees may receive a pension benefit and a supplemental benefit. A brief explanation of the benefits is listed in the memo. But if you want a more detailed explanation, you can see it on the report valuation. It starts on your packet page 77 through 79. As required by the Government Accounting Standard Board (GASB), West Basin is to update its actual valuation on a biannual basis. And the report provides key information about the plan funding status, the actual return. This actual report was put together by Ben I. Warden and may be found on your packet starting page 56. I would like to point out a few key takeaways from the value creation report, which is also highlighted with the table on your packet page. You'll see a table that lays out the report information that compares the last valuation to the most recent valuation that was performed for us. First, I am happy to announce that the plan is determined to be funded at 110.1%, 30th of 2022. Next, the valuation determined West Basin's contribution for current fiscal year, which is the West Basin portion. 2023 will be 57,387, and in fiscal year 24, it would be 57,900. The tier 3 contribution rate will increase from 12.5 to 15.5, effective April 1st this year. As you can tell, there are some changes from the last valuation. There are changes in assumption for retirement based on our plan goal. The plan's discount rate changed in the expected normal cost, and the plan's investment losses were a factor in the valuation as a whole. That does conclude my report. It does start on packet page 56 for the full report.
Thank you. Just an information item. Any questions from board members? Go ahead, Director Wade.
Hi.
How old or how long do you have to be a member of West Basin's program in order to get the benefits of this retirement plan?
I think if you turn to page 50, 77. Talks about the 3 different tiers that we have and when you become eligible. So for your director, it would be your tier 3. So you have to be at least 52 years for a minimum of 5 years.
Good, thank you.
Barely make that, don't we?
Director Gray, did you have a question?
Just a comment. I'm sorry I have to get off the line, but I just wanted to let you know as chair.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you very much,
Thank you
Director
so much.
Gray.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I think the only question I have too, because this is automatic, is this automatically deducted out of our compensation?
Yes.
I believe, right? Okay, so any adjustment that you mentioned, that'll just automatically go to that in the next couple months or what happens?
April 1st.
April 1. Okay. Very good.
If I could just add,
Oh, yeah.
just one comment. As Allison stated, that this is well-funded, our contribution from the employer side is going down. But in order to make the change as it relates to the employee and for the purposes of payroll, directors are considered employee. We did do an amendment, and the amendment states that the general manager has the authority to make that change based off of the report that's there. So that amendment has been executed and will be ready to have it be effective as Allison stated on April 1st, 2023. So that will be the rate that will be reflected for the next 2 years until we then come back in 2 years with the next biannual report. So just want to provide that.
Okay, any other questions? It is.
Benefit, wonderful, because I do what I'm doing, nothing. Enjoy it.
Exactly. It is kind of nice to at least we get a little something extra.
Need it.
Yeah, so much appreciated.
You're worth every penny.
What's that? What?
Every
Oh,
penny.
great. Yeah,
The dollars I'm not so sure of, but you're worth every.
it's pennies, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, more of a labor of love, as we say, right?
Yeah.
So, no, with that, thank you very much for that report and that we are well funded, et cetera. Thank you. All right, so let's move on to the next item, which is 6B as in boy, our monthly financial report.
Okay, and we have our accountant, Sandra Ruiz here to provide the monthly financial report. And if I may just comment that it's great to have members of staff coming forward before you today to provide this information while also gaining some experience presenting to the board. And so that's a really great kind of coaching and mentoring for our emerging leaders.
Thank you,
So,
Greg.
Sandra, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, directors. I will be presenting item 6B, which starts on packet page 90, the monthly financial report. As required by West Basin Administrative Code, staff is required to submit various financial reports. So we'll start with the demands list, which starts on packet page 92. This would be the demands list for the period ending February 28th, 2023. On packet page 97, you will see the total demands for the month of February is $12,044,553.40. The bulk of that would be the Metropolitan bill for December, which was $9,508,650.30. That accounted for approximately 78% of the total spend for the month. So other than that, I didn't find any other interesting payables. So if there are any questions?
I mean, just, you pointed out the item that was a little different from before, so you highlighted that. Thank you.
Okay. Well, then I'll.
Sandra, let me ask.
Sure.
I do see one here right on the first page, page 92. It's a very small fee, of course, but it's that occupational health center required employee testing. Now, is this related to COVID things or is this something totally different?
Yes, that is correct.
And
It's still
COVID?
relating to the COVID item. We've had some discussion with HR to see if that will continue on, and I believe HR will be doing that in the future with the board, since that was a direction by the board.
Got it. Okay, good. That's kind of what I wanted to deduce because I think we should obviously relook at all this in the near future. Are we still requiring employees to do this and that if they don't want to get vaccinated or whatever the policy is? So we need to revisit that the next, couple months probably?
It's my understanding and speaking with Elisa that she does intend to bring some information there for you.
Is that her? Oh, there's Elisa.
Hi.
You
Sorry.
wanna
So,
opine?
yes, so the plan for HR is to bring something to the board next month in April to update the mandatory COVID vaccine policy to include the changes that are coming through at the end of March, which is basically retracting all the COVID restrictions. So I will bring that hopefully to the board next month and get that the policy updated.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Now, I've seen a number of agencies are starting to do a lot of transitioning, right? So sounds good, our timing. Okay. All right, I don't have any other questions at this time on so you can go ahead, Sandra, to the next portion.
I'll hand it over to Mary Ann to do the next part.
Thank you, Sandra. Good afternoon, President Houston and members of the committee and board. I'll be presenting on your cash and investment report. This begins on page 98 of your packet. And on page 98 of your packet, as I mentioned, this is the cash investment report. This is as of February 28th, 2023. Your portfolio had a market value of 76.8 million for the month. And that compares to prior month as of January 31st of 73 million. You see there was a slight uptick in that balance. That was primarily due, we received some standby charge funds during the month, as well as we had, as you saw, lower demand during the month as well. A couple other things I want to point out in that first page, looking at the pie on the right, you can see your portfolio is very well diversified. And you can see the different items here, all the different colors. It means we have a lot of different types of investments. So again, very well diversified. Moving on to the next page, page 99. This graph shows your credit quality of your portfolio. And as you can see, it's very high quality. In fact, 90% of the investments that we have are rated at least an A or higher. Moving on to page 100 of the report. This is the maturity distribution, and you'll see that per government code, all of our investments are 5 years or less in maturity. And then moving on to the following page, 101, this is your monthly transactions. Just want to point out we had 2 maturities during the month. We did move those funds into our California class, which is a very liquid fund. Just want to report that particular fund is AAA rated. And as of yesterday, the daily rate on that was 4.7%. So also making a decent return as well. Next, starting on page 102 through 110, this is your list of by detail within each sector of each individual security in your portfolio. So there's all the details on each particular security if you had any questions on those. Otherwise, that concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions on your cash and investments.
Very good. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you. Should we have any concerns about what's happening in, you know where?
You can prompt the next point. I was ready to speak on that topic, so that's excellent. Thank you for prompting me. So yes, we did notice that over the weekend, certainly we had a couple banks that had received sort of some unfortunate news about their credit quality and putting into receivership. That is both Silicon Valley Bank as well as Signature Bank. We did take a review of our particular program that we call our Small and Community Bank program, where we do have investments that are greater than the FDIC limit. We do it through what's now called IntraFi. We formerly referred to it as CDARS, to make sure that we had no investments within those 2 banks. And we are confirmed that we do not have any investments there. That being said, we do also have investments in different places. You just heard about our PARS plan. We have investments there as well as within our 457. So we'll be reaching out to those particular ones there. But I will say that the community, I have received numerous emails regarding your investments are safe. California class, for instance, came back and said that we don't have any exposure in that area. And so we will continue to look at the other avenues, like I said, the 457 plan, as well as the PARS plan, to ensure, again, that there is nothing there. So at this point, we don't see that there's any risk to West Basin as it relates to those particular banks.
Thank you.
Question. And on that note too, we don't normally invest more than about $250,000.
If we're going just directly to a bank, it's $250,000. You know, if not, then, you know, we, even if we have an investment with a bank, we make sure that they are properly collateralized. So for instance, if we have cash amounts, if you will, within our general banking account with Bank of the West, for instance, that they would properly collateralized, and there's different ways that they can do that. And so again, we've also heard from Bank of the West, which actually by name change, they are merging with Bank of Montreal. I believe it's their new name coming up in the next few months. And so there's an acquisition done there. So we'll have more information for that with you as that progresses. So we will, again, there's collateralization. If we were to go beyond the 250 with our small and community bank program, like I said, we do it through the IntraFi, so that again, that any one specific investment is less than 250,000, because it will give, let's say, $1 million to a bank, but then they will go find 3 other banks to get the 250 or something less than that. So again, we try to do that because we want to make sure not only are we protecting our principal, but also the interest on that as well. So we actually try to go a little bit less than 250 if possible. And so, you know, when the interest rates were low, we could be pretty high. Now the interest rates, as Marianne mentioned, like around 4 or something, at least on the California class, we certainly want to make sure that we are providing them the appropriate coverage so that we don't have any exposure.
Very good. Thank you. All right, thank you. You can move on to the next portion.
Next on the agenda is your water sales report. So you should have a handout. We just finished those invoices back on Friday. Unfortunately, that's when the packet needed to go out. So you have the report in front of you today.
No problem.
Starting at the top, I can't say which page it is, but starting at the top of the page. The first page.
By chance, yeah.
There we go. Is that?
Did you need one else?
You need. I got you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hazel.
Go ahead.
All right, so starting at the top of the first page is your imported retail sales. As a reminder, we did budget 103,200 for the year. I guess I can say I'm happy to say that we're tracking much less in this drought. We did have a lot of rain this past month, so you can see in the month of February where we budgeted 7,300, we came in at just about 5,900 acre feet of sales. That was a reduction of about 1,400, which was more than last month. In January, we were below budget about 1,200. So we're making a lot of progress there. There was a lot of rainfall, as you know, in February. For February 23, we had almost 6 inches within the area compared to less than 1 inch, about 0.06 last year. So that's basically nothing. So a lot of rain. So overall, we are trending below budget. You can see that we're at about 61.5 for the year against a budget of about 69.5. Questions on the retail side? Okay. Moving down to the bottom of the page is your imported barrier. As just a reminder, this is what we inject, the potable water we inject into the 2 barriers, the West Coast barrier and the Dominguez Gap barrier. So you'll see for the month of February, we were just below budget at 488 compared to 558, so about 70 acre feet. And overall year to date, we are trending under budget at about 1,000 acre feet. That's comparing the 3,400 to the 4,500 or so. Moving on to your recycled water sales. Again, we did budget for the year 32,643 acre feet. We are trending less than that, but let me start off with the month of February. You'll see in the first box at the second half of the page, we did have lower than budgeted injections into the West Coast barrier. We did 488 acre feet as compared to 749. As well as the refineries were actually under the budget for the month. We've been trending higher, but we did, as I think I reported last month, we've had some poor water quality coming from Hyperion, so that's hampered some of our production. For the disinfected tertiary, we also under budget. Of course, the rain didn't help there at all either. So overall for the month, we were about 500 acre feet below budget. On the year to date, again, on the barrier, we're about 2,600 acre feet below budget. And the refineries, good news, they are over almost 1,200 based on the budget through February. And the disinfected tertiary, we're about 600 acre feet under budget. Overall, we're about 9% less than budget at about 1,900 acre feet, less than where we'd like to be at this point. So with that, I'll just stop and see if there's any questions.
Any questions?
Yes. You know, we don't benefit from, for drinking water purposes, for the rain that's falling now, because we have no way of capturing it. And the only folks here in our region that captures a lot of rainwater is the county flood control. So question always comes up from our constituents. Why aren't you capturing this water out here? We need this water. Why are you letting it go to the ocean? So what do we tell them?
I may defer that to the general manager. I'm not quite sure how to answer that question.
That's a really good question. In fact, Director Deere and I had the opportunity to present to the Lawndale City Council, and that very question was raised. And the challenge with stormwater capture is the speed at which the rainfall occurs, and the need to, or the requirement, if we're going to capture it, is to have the facilities, the infrastructure, and the real estate to do that. And then once you are able to capture it, what do you do with that? And so here in the West Coast Basin, we're in a confined aquifer system. And so being able to capture and put that into the basin for drinking water purposes, you'd have to overcome the confined aquifer lenses to get that water down into the drinking water zone. And so there's a number of challenges that are related to that. The real estate component is certainly significant. And in addition to that, we have in our own service area, we have 17 cities that we represent. Any one city that would embark on such a program would only be able to do so within their limited boundaries. And so you'd have to be able to really approach that in large scale. And so a large agency that crosses multiple boundaries would have to take on that initiative, and it would be at great cost. So with that said, what we are doing is we have the Measure W program, we have the IRWIMP program, and those programs allow for some level of stormwater capture, primarily going after the MS4 compliance, which is dealing with stormwater quality going out to the bay. But you also can do those type of projects in a way that also provides a water use benefit. We've actually sponsored or helped sponsor the Culver City Stormwater Project, where they implemented a cistern type technology below their street medians. And they've been able to not only clean up the stormwater before it leaves the into the bay, they also have a reuse component that goes along with it, where they can capture the urban runoff, use it for irrigation on the street median as well, prior to releasing that water out into the bay. So small efforts like that are maybe incremental and don't really get after that large capture concern that your question implies. So it really is going to take a significant investment, a major program to do something like that. And we probably need a significant funding mechanism to even do something like that.
There lies the question, the cost. Now, what you just spoke about, it's the same thing that we answered in our FAQs. We have the same kind of an answer to why aren't we capturing rainwater instead of doing desalination. And so this is not something new to us. So when we need a shorter answer, why aren't we doing this?
Well, maybe a shorter answer is when you evaluate, these different, resources, because ultimately stormwater is a resource. In order to harness it and scale, the dollar per acre foot is still quite high. And perhaps the lower cost opportunity is still recycled water. And so we have yet to fully harness all of our water recycling resources. And so that really is kind of your lower hanging fruit compared to stormwater.
We got to have a shorter answer. for the dinner table. We have all these great answers, and we've had these answers that you spoke about during our quest for desalination, ocean water desalination. We have the answers, but they're long answers. We need to shorten it down to where we can elevator speech. I'd like to see us work on that, because that's going to be coming up more and more now. Thank you.
So thank you, Director Williams. And a really good question, because you're right, especially with all the rain and snow. And I mentioned that I think at a previous meeting as well. I mean, and in the press, there's been a lot of folks who are writing and basically pummeling, if you will, the water
Yes.
community for how come you're not capturing all this water, which we know that we're in that trajectory, but it's going to take many years and a lot of investment, and we don't even know where all the funding mechanisms come from. And I agree, though, that we need some good responses. So when people are asking us these questions, board members and community people, we can answer in a succinct manner to them. And speaking of that, that is why I have asked, and I think you all are doing this, is we should be having those Measure W reports every month of the Water Policy and Legislation Committee, which I didn't look at the agenda yet for tomorrow, but I believe or hope it's on there. Is it on there for tomorrow? Report. But while you're looking at the same time, to answer Director Williams' question there too, I mean, the Measure W funding mechanism is starting to come into place. They're very decentralized projects in the region. They'll probably be smaller scale on what
Of
they're going to
course, yeah.
pull off. However, that could feed into some of what we're producing and sending out to those pockets of communities, so with the county and what they're doing, and as we get these updates, I do expect that we all should, number one, understand. And then number two, if there's projects that are being proposed in the area, if there's a component where we're supportive, we should do that, let alone if it comes to metropolitan, like we've been from Culver City and so on and so forth. So I think Director Williams brings up very valid questions, and people are pushing us extremely hard to ask these, as lay folks, and that's our job, is to give them the best answers. But yes, working with county and other folks in their wheelhouse. So yeah, I think if staff could maybe look at that as, provide us some sort of talking points for when these are coming up, because it's, that's happening all the time right now. And we're all getting back out in the communities a lot.
Susan, one
Yeah,
thing.
go ahead, Director Williams.
My early days in public works and then storm drain design, flood control, then we've done a great job. Our job was flood control. Now, how many of you went to dinner, either at your house or your family member went out to dinner, and you were sitting down eating and your feet were wet from water flowing on the floor? None of you. So did we do a great job of flood control? Absolutely. See, given the resources, we can fix the problem. That's what engineers do. Time and money, right? We can do that. But the big thing is the money. Nobody wants to pay the money. They think the water should just evaporate. But, but it's great being in this business. Love it.
And
Also, the sky, it's free. What's the problem?
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
If not, okay. So maybe the next month it'll be there, but we need to have a cadence of the updates from Measure W conversation.
Yes, absolutely,
So, yeah, let's check that out. Okay, I do have one quick question for Mary Ann, and it was regarding the comparison sheet. And I know later today we have our budget workshop, so we'll get much more into the weeds of this, but I see that we have obviously set budget, goals for both the, the overall water sales and then recycle water, but obviously we're tracking below that in most cases the last couple of years. So I'm assuming that that's something we're gonna be looking at in this next budget cycle, because it is what it is. The water sales are not, in most cases, meeting the budget. So we kind of are putting these estimates that are higher than what is reality. So is that something I'm sure that you're looking at for conversations later today and for next year's budget?
We do have conversations planned, yes, Director. We budget for what we know and we budget for what we think we can achieve. There are things out of our control, as you've seen in the last year with the Hyperion spill, certain events that happened that unfortunately prevented us from meeting those goals and those budgets. But yes, we will definitely take all that into consideration.
Very good, because that's the only challenge here, especially on the recycled water. We've budgeted higher than where, for the most part, we're meeting, right? So it's just a very big point to be aware that we ratchet down our expectations so that, we're meeting our budget goals, et cetera. All right, well, with that, any other questions on this?
No, thank you.
Okay, let's see here. Is there anything else to report? I think there is.
Yes, one more report.
Go ahead.
I'll let Sandra take this one.
Thank you, Mary. I will be presenting item 6BD, found on packet page 116, Directors Conference and Travel Expenses. And this is through the month of February 2023. The total amount spent was $29,358.76. The next page, packet page 117, is the final item, 6BE, which is the Executive Management and Staff Travel Expense, again, for the period ending February 2023. Grand total was $51,592.37. And that
Questions?
No, thank you.
Questions? So let's see. No closed session today. And then director's comments or future agenda items. I'll open the floor. Any comments?
No, thank you.
Director Gears? The only comment I'll make is that, just so my colleagues are aware, the staff did send us a report regarding, real estate issues. So if you didn't see it, check your emails out, but they've gotten some information to us. Pretty big packet. But just make sure that you all know that, at this point, one portion of our request was sent. What's that?
Oh, I couldn't hear what you were saying.
I'm sorry. So the staff, was it yesterday, Greg?
I believe so, yes. We have the real estate report that was asked for in the Saturday workshop on the headquarter relocation. This is with the commercial real estate broker, basically looking at purchase and lease opportunities near the centroid of the district.
Get a copy of that.
We can put together a copy for you right now.
I'll be here.
You'll be here. We will absolutely do that. Would
I'd
you
like
also
to-
like one, Director Williams?
I'd like to have one too.
Director Houston had asked for a printed copy, so we have one for him. So we'll go ahead and produce two more.
Yeah, just didn't want you all to miss that. And so other than that, no other comments except staff. Thank you for your reports, of course, and keeping us on track, and also our board members for good conversation dialogue as we approach all the decisions we make. So thank you so much. And let's see, is there anything else on here? I do need to read this one part. It says our next scheduled meeting, the next regular meeting is scheduled to be held on April 6th, 2023. And with that,
If I may,
okay.
just on that April
ahead.
6th meeting, my team had advised that much of the information that we prepare for FNA coincides with our fiscal cycles. And so typically, a lot of the information is available after April 10th. And so in the April 6th reschedule, we may have limited information to report on at that date. But if that's okay with the committee, we could, continue with the April 6th date.
And just to be more clear, the monthly reporting, we will not have cash and investments demands, the water sales, because again, water sales doesn't happen until the 10th. We're asked to submit that information and have it to you prior to the close of the month. And so we are not able to provide any of that information for you. From a finance perspective, we will have other items for discussion, but the monthly reporting will not be there for you.
Okay.
We fix that? Can we fix that? I mean,
Fix in what way?
change the date.
Change the date of the committee meeting?
Yeah, I mean, what does it take to do it?
It would just be, actually just you and I for the most part. So we could change the
What's the-
meeting. I don't recall why we picked the 6th. It was between our schedules. I know that, was this one of the ones where originally it was probably in the week?
Probably for the DC trip.
Okay. But there is the week prior, which is at the 10th. Could, if we did something at the week of the 10th, would you have most of the information you need?
Yes, I mean, again, we would process the water bills on April 10th. So we probably would have that as a handout, but all the other items, we got the packet out to you on the 7th. We would then be able to have anything from the following week. That would include the demand, the cash investments, as well as the travel report. And the water sales would be a handout.
I would suggest that you pick a date that works for staff.
We just wanted you to be aware that we would not have that information available.
Okay, so, and so I'm looking at the calendar. So the 10th and 11th are metropolitan meetings, I believe. So those are usually off the table. We have another budget workshop, I think, on April the 12th at this point.
Friday the 14th.
14th, I know there's a couple things happening and I haven't determined if I'm doing them or not. I just don't know at this point. And then the 13th, bunch of things on. We could try to do something the morning of April 12th. That seemed like a potential option. Director, meetings.
Whatever works for staff and the rest of us works for me.
April 12th works well with us. So
Yeah.
if that
So-
is a date for you, Director Houston.
Yeah, let's do this. I will say, but it'd have to be earlier, so like at 9 AM.
Yeah.
So
You're at 7:30, so.
Well,
A little early.
Join us at 7:30.
We'll have coffee.
We'll do
donuts.
breakfast. So,
I've got commitments around the lunch hour and I know later that day we've got budget workshop, right? So, but let's change this next meeting to April 12th at 9 o'clock in the morning.
thank you.
And with that, I think we're good. So, all right, with anything else, I think we're good, right?
Good.
With that, we are adjourned.